Utah is positioning itself at the intersection of two of the most consequential forces in the American economy: artificial intelligence and energy development. Ray Conley is the CEO of Creekstone Energy. His company just signed an agreement with Energy Solutions to evaluate next-generation nuclear power for what could become one of the largest clean energy and AI infrastructure sites in the United States. Ray, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, great to be here again. Thank you.
The project's coming along, and this new announcement about exploring nuclear power as part of it. I guess let's start here. Why nuclear, why now, and why are we exploring it?
Sure. Well, if we step back and look at everything that's happened in the past year for energy demand that's being created by data centers in particular, it's unprecedented in terms of both the size amount of power that's needed and the stress that it's putting on the grid throughout the nation and the world. And when you think about how power infrastructure was done in the past, they would expect it to grow at about GDP, or 2 to 3% a year. We're looking at double-digit growth rates now because of the energy demand that's coming from AI. And we don't have enough traditional sources of energy to meet that type of demand. And so the only way you can get there is with nuclear. And because of the long time it takes from a permitting process, site selection, all that type of thing, you have to start now to be able to have it in a few years anyway. So the clock's ticking and we have to get started now on it.
And here in Utah, it's something Governor Cox has been sort of on the forefront of being, I guess, a champion for nuclear energy. We also have a company here in Utah, Energy Solutions, that's your partner on this as you sort of explore this as a possible addition to the project. Why Energy Solutions? Why are they the right partner for this? And I'm presuming it's more than just because they're, a local company.
Sure. Well, they're actually a nationwide company, and they have a lot of expertise on waste remediation. They have a lot of expertise on the different types of nuclear plants one could use. And we needed a partner that had not just credibility and experience in the marketplace, but also someone that was, I'll say, somewhat independent to help us make the best decisions on which solutions to move forward with, and obviously understand the Utah market.
You're looking then right now as nuclear is going to be potentially a piece of the puzzle, but it sounds like it could become much more than just sort of a small piece of it. It could eventually really help you scale even the energy production for the overall project.
Yeah, so before we announced the deal with Energy Solutions, we've been working on a energy stack diversified between natural gas, solar, other sources to get up to about 10 gigawatts. With Energy Solutions, the first phase is focusing on 2 gigawatts. Those are, the larger nuke plants are about 1 gigawatt to 2 gigawatts each anyway. But once you get a good site where seismic works and a few of the other things, then you can scale that even more. So the first step's for an extra 2, but we could go beyond that.
People have said for a long time that, if you're going to have a solution to green energy needs, nuclear is like a really great way to go. But where we were, say, 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, attitude-wise, when it came to nuclear power and how that's changed to today, how much does that surprise you as a guy who's a veteran of the energy industry?
Well, I think there's been a big pendulum swinging of thinking, well, what's our alternative? I mean, at the end of the day, if we need to address emissions and need to address environmental concerns, nuclear actually ends up being the only scalable solution that can solve all of those problems if we can be comfortable with the safety issue and how we deal with waste. There's been a tremendous amount of progress in the science and engineering for how to do nuclear waste reprocessing and those types of things that didn't exist in those years past, that now we have a path forward that makes it more viable.
There were some memorable parts to the President's State of the Union address, one in particular that probably made your ears perk up. The President said that he wants tech companies to, quote, have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. I'm telling them they can build their own plant. They're going to produce their own electricity. That had to make your ears perk up just a little bit and say, hey, we're trying that already. Exactly. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, it was the President announcing what everyone's really already recognized, which is the excess energy, if there were, in the system got taken out over the past couple of years. There's not a lot of excess energy left. And so if you're pulling it off the grid from traditional sources that haven't been set up to grow at these double-digit rates, folks are going to be impacted by that. On the other hand, if you can do it behind the meter, basically not connected to the grid and generate your own power, then you can still grow AI at the rate we need to grow it at without people having to pay extra in their electric bill or be negatively influenced by it.
Yeah, because the average everyday person is going to say, I like AI, it helps me do my work a little bit more efficiently or better. I don't like it if it's going to triple my power bill.
Exactly.
So how does nuclear play into that particular challenge when it comes to, hey, we've got to go have data centers that are supplying their own power source? Are we going to see nuclear be a big part of that going forward for a lot of these places, a lot of similar type projects?
I think so. We're already seeing it. There was announcements in the past year where Amazon, I think, was making a bid for the Susquehanna nuclear plant. Microsoft made a bid on the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant, and there was another nuclear plant that also was in the play with one of the other hyperscalers. So they've already taken those first steps towards recognizing nuclear would be a way to go. And that trend is only going to continue. It's a balance between the amount of time it takes to get a nuke online versus the immediacy of need for power today. And so traditional sources and existing renewables are the bridge, but nuclear is the long-term way we're going to be able to meet those larger power needs.
And for a long time in Utah, even going back to the previous gubernatorial administration, Governor Herbert used to always say we need to have an all-of-the-above energy policy. That seems to be personified in the Gigasite because you've got solar, potentially nuclear, natural gas, coal, all of these elements to it. I guess, is that one of the reasons that Utah seems like an attractive place to try to build a project like this, because they're embracing essentially what you're building?
That's exactly right. If you're going to have the most power available in a single location, the next question is, do you have a single point of failure? And by being able to have multiple sources of independent energy that range from traditional, renewable, nuclear, and everything in between, that all complement each other as well, which is a key part of how you do the systems engineering, we can now have the most power in a single location without a single point of failure.
Yeah, perfect. Ray Conley, thanks so much for your time and for giving us the insight, and good luck to the project. Keeps rolling forward.
Thanks. Great to be here again.